Okay, we have a 15 inches. It's an A1990, the model number, and the description says dead, which is no power. So, as usual, the first thing we want to do is we want to take out the back cover. Peter, can you confirm that everything is fine? Okay, so we're taking out the back cover. Um, as you guys know, before we connect our charger, before we introduce power into the machine, we need to know why or what state the machine is in. So the back screws are out. The A1990, the 15 inches A1990 are very common. They have a common failure, which is the PP bus. Let's open up the board view. You should help him so that that job can be quicker. Okay, that is our board view. Now, the A1990, they commonly have a failure on the PP bus line, which can be represented at F700, F701 and F7000, F7001 and F7000. We can check if we have a short on F7000, which is on our PP bus. Now, the short it's not generated within PP bus itself. It's an extension of the PP bus voltage that is usually affected, and is that is on the NAND circuitry here. So let's go to the other side. So here, this cap here, C9080, commonly fails on your PP bus. C9080 commonly fails on your A1990 15 inches. When it fails, it starts to pass power to ground. So basically, as you know, this is a cap. You have pin 2 is ground, pin 1 is your PP bus is connected to the line, and then there's supposed to be an insulator here. However, when the cap fails, what happens is this whatever is on pin 1 then becomes part of what is on pin 2, which then will mean that PP bus will be shorted to ground. So the first thing we want to do is we want to disconnect our battery cable so that we don't have power going to the board, and then we want to check if we have a short on our PP bus. Now that we can easily measure at the fuses here. We can easily measure that at F7000 and F7001. Switch our multimeter to continuity mode. So these are the fuses that will be this ones here. black probe on ground, and then red probe on. Okay, so that's 0006.2. Now, also usually what I have found is, so if my numbers were completely zero, that would tell me that my short is contained within PP bus, directly within PP bus. Now, because the short is it's an extension of my PP bus line, that is why I am having 006.1 and not 00 all through. So we definitely have a short on our PP bus. The next thing we want to do is we want to take out our board and then see if our problem is indeed C9081. Let's just go there. Yeah. So to see if our issue is C9081. Now, when this happens in this particular state, there will be no power to the board, which is exactly why the machine is in. Now, so C9081 sits on the side of it sits on the input voltage of U9080. What U9080 does, U9080 it's a voltage regulator for the NAND chip. So it has the output of 2.5 volt for the SSD. So here it says 2.5 volt NAND underscore SSD. Now, sometimes when C9081, when it fails, it would affect U9080, depending on how it fails. And then instead of U9080 regulating sending 2.5 volts to the NAND, U9080 will send more than 2.5 volts to the NAND, which is basically U9080 will send the same amount of voltage that it got on PP bus. It will send it directly to the to the NAND, and thereby causing damage to the NAND chip. So let us hope that the damage is not in that. Let us hope that the U9080 was not affected. Let us hope that the damage is only contained at at C9081. Because if if U9080 is affected, then that it's a problem, because that will result that will mean that we need to also replace the NAND chip to complete the repair. So right now we are going to take out the board and head over to our U9081 as C9081 to confirm if indeed it is faulty. Now the U9 the C90 the C9081, that cap fails over a period of time. So it's not something that the user of the device have to do to cause it to fail. So over a period of time, um, the cap sits um, uh, by the output, or by the uh, it sits close to the area where the cap sits is such that over time, especially if you use the device close to where the device will be exposed to moisture, over time there will be a buildup on one side of the cap, which will eventually cause it to fail. All of the screws are out. Now we are going to disconnect the cables. Okay, remaining the battery screw. MacBook Pros from 2016 and above, um, they have dual battery connection. So one it's going to be the data cable, and then the other line is going to be the main battery power line. It suffices to disconnect the battery cable, the battery data cable, for that will also cause your board to lose communication with the battery. Um, However, if you have installed a Chinese battery on your machine, chances are that even when you disconnect the cable, you may still have power running to your board, which is why it's not ideal. So so one of the reasons why that cap gets affected, I'm just gonna flip it to, okay, let's go to the other side. Now, C9081, it's at the edge of the board. You see, C9081 is at the edge. So this is the board, and C9081 is going to be here, this side here. Now that is C9081. So you see, it's at the edge of the board. So over time, there'll be a build up. Guys, come. So for A1990 boards, 2019, usually when they fail, this is the common way they fail. So you see, this is a 2019 board, and it's a no power. So obviously, I make sure I disconnect my power before I check to see if I have a short. Now I can check here, and the reason why I use here is because these two are connected to my PP boards, correct? So I want to see if so commonly with this board you find that the PP box voltage is shorted to ground. However, there's something else I want you guys to notice now. If I do this, it gives me 0.0.6.2. Why that is because the reason why that is the case is usually when you get a reading like that, instead of this, what? No, look at that. Obviously, it's not fine because that's a high voltage line. That it's a short. There's a short there. But look at the numbers. You have 006.2, and then look at this 000. The reason why that is 00 is reason why this is 006.2 is because the short to ground that exists on the PP bus line is not contained within the PP bus. It's an extension of the PP bus. If the short itself was contained within, okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. So when I measured here, yeah, when I click on PP bus. Now, if the component that is shorted is directly attached to the main PP bus line, then I will get a reading like this. But because what is affected is outside the main PP bus line, but it's still connected. Now, what is affected now? That line is affected through what is affected. It's this cap here. This cap here. Now, this cap C9081, you have to always look out for C9081. C9081 it fails in two forms. So I'm just going to show you guys. So whenever you have a 2019 machine that's a no power, that's the first thing you check out for. Now, so the board number, I'll show you. I'm just gonna show you. The board number is 82001 82001 8. Okay, let's check 01041. 01041. Now, okay, let's go to so See, okay, let's now see what 9081. Now, if you see, C9081 sits on the line of what? U9080. Sits on the power line of, okay, let's just check that again. Now, U9081, C9081 sits on the power line of what? So you see here it says V in voltage in voltage in voltage in voltage in voltage in voltage in, correct? And all of that starts, so which means they are one line, correct? Now if you look at this, it's PP bus. Now this is PP bus underscore G3 hot. That is yes, yes. But there's something that's attached to it, underscore SSD underscore SNS. Yes? Now this is the cap that fails. It sits on the input line of U1890. What is U1890? U1890 is supposed to output. It has dual output. Yes, U9080. It has dual output that is supposed to go to your SSD. 2.5. So this and that. 2.5 volt, 2.5 volt. Yes, it takes PP bus and then it evens it. Yeah, and then you get output of what? Are you struggling to say it, Peter? And then you get 2.5 volt. Now, the way this will fail, so this cap fails in two ways. Sometimes the cap, because of this is the board, yeah, because the board sits like this, and that cap is at the edge of the board here. Now, oftentimes you get oxidation around this section of the board, especially if the user of this machine uses the machine in the cold environment. So oftentimes you get oxidation here. Now, when you get oxidation here, when this cap, which is always why it's advised that whenever you don't understand the state of your device, you don't connect power to it. So when this cap fails, yes, when this cap fails, obviously you will find that it's going to short to ground. Now, when I click on the cap, PP bus underscore, you will see that it's not directly connected to our main PP bus line. I'm just going to, so here you see it's only connected to this and this. Yes, this is a TP. Okay, let's go to the other side. Now on the other side, see where and where it's connected to. Connects to U9080, it connects to C9073, and then a current sensing resistor here. Now PP bus is connected through here. This is our PP bus. PP bus underscore G3 hot is connected through R5620. So if PP bus was exactly the same, when it comes here, it becomes PP bus underscore G3 underscore SSD. Now it's now something else is now added. So if the short was represented only from here on, then the reading is going to be complete. It's the same reading that we will get when we do this. You see that? Now, if we place that to ground, this is what we would have gotten if that was. I don't know if that was short. Yeah. Now, so but because the short is contained outside, not directly within PP bus, that's why you still have a form of a number attached to the short. Now, how do you solve that? It's very easy to solve that. So this is the cap that I'm talking about. This one here. This one. See the way it looks? That's not water damage, eh? And be very careful the things you say, eh? That's not water damage. I'm talking about oxidation. So it's not so it's more like so say for example when so if this is in a cold kind of like a cold environment, how do you call this water damage? Did you see any sign of liquid here? If you tell your client your body is water damage, you just put yourself in an unnecessary argument. Because and this machine has never. The guy is a pilot. He says water how? So this is so now that is the cap. So here the cap is still healthy. The short is still contained, the damage is still contained here. If this cap, if you had If I move the cap and then you see bunch mark here, it means that there has been PP bus voltage has been sent directly to this chip here. And then this chip will also will then send the same 13 voltage, PP bus voltage directly to the NAND. Instead of 2.5 volts, instead of outputting 2.5 volt here, then you get the same PP bus is what you will get here. And then when that happens, is the NAND will be destroyed. So right now, what we just need to do is we just use tweezer to just remove that from the line. Let's do this. Okay, let's try to clean it. Let's hope that. So now that it's out, usually now that it's out, if you measure now, this is now, if you measure it now, this is what you will get. This is the cap, correct? Then we do this. Even the pad is not. So this other side is supposed to be a pad here. Hmm? Like a place to allow us to come, but we don't even have that. But that's beside the point. Now that is out, now let's see if we still have a short. If we still have a short, then it's a problem because what it would mean is U9080 has also been affected. You understand? Now let's see if we still have a short. Black probe to ground, whichever. Okay. Now that our short is gone. If we still have the short, it will mean that U9080 was also affected. And if U9080 is affected in this manner, your NAND has been affected because what it would mean is that what it received, it sent it out directly without having to break it or even it out or switch it to 2.5 volt, which is intended for it. So pretty much this machine is fixed. So the issue was PP bus was shorted to ground. PP bus is no longer shorted to ground, and that is the problem of the machine. And then now, because I am very familiar with the A1990s, I will not even try or attempt to connect my power to it. I will not even make an attempt to connect my power to it. And then without power connected, obviously, that will obviously help me to directly go straight to what the issue is. But I'm just telling you guys in case you're measuring for a short, and then you see that the numbers it's doing that. So the hint is that that short is not all contained within. No, within the particular circuitry, it has to be something outside. Because if it was contained in it, then you will obviously have get the different readings. So I'm just gonna now we don't have a shot. I'm just gonna clean the board. We test it. Now we should have a fine spin Apple logo, and that will be the end of our repair. So remember, there was a day that I was not in, and then I called you. You not answering your phone. Yeah. Yes, and imagine that because of this, I had to travel all the way from Strand. Now, I was very angry because this was something that, okay, to diagnose it, yes, is a problem. But if somebody is, imagine if I am calling you to tell you to do this, and then the person couldn't do it. It was just, and when I'm frustrated, and sometimes when I'm frustrated with these things, the look I get on people's faces as if, okay, why should you be frustrated? Why shouldn't I be frustrated? I mean, this is something that is so basic, and then somebody can't even do it. Yeah. So this is pretty much, and so this is you see how the cap look. You can clearly tell that, okay, this cap looks funny. So and then this method is applicable to your A1990s only. It's not this is a common failure on the A1990. So A1990, if you have an issue with them and it's a low power, this is one of the commonest thing that would have happened to it. And then you see that I didn't put it back. Yeah, yeah, didn't put it back. So one of the reasons why I didn't put it back is putting it back will still expose it to the same circle after a period of time. You understand? So now I'm not putting it back. And if you look at this now, how many of that do we have here? We have one, two, three, four. Exactly. So without and because of where that and you see one of the funny thing about schematic. You see how this is on the straight line? That's not how it is on the board view. So the idea is it's just a representation, but that is not how it's laid out on the board or on the board. So I'm just gonna quickly just put this and then put a battery screw and test it. We should have a fan spin, Apple logo.
Like, this guy thinks he's smart. He thinks he's like,
I didn't think no man.
hey, say thank you, Lucky. That's what he said.
Oh, okay, thank you. Now or later.
Yeah, whatever. Some place you come to thank you, not to make excuses.
uh,
Stop that.
Erivan, how do you of all people will say I'm smart? You of all people, really?
Why? I can listen. I can acknowledge them when I see it, my friend.
Okay.
You have a talent. This is not mine. This is yours. And you just say thank you.
Okay,
Done.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have
This guy.
we have feedback on our trackpad. We're hoping that the machine is going to start pretty soon. So hope that's the case. So with feedback, it will tell us that yes, the machine is in SO state. The next thing we want to anticipate for its fan spin. Okay, we have fan spin. The next thing is waiting for Apple logo. Is the screen connected? Okay, the screen is not connected. Okay, yeah, so that says that the caps lock, it tells you that the machine is actually on and it has a brain. So whenever you see the caps, it tells you that the machine has a brain. The CPU is actually fully functional at that stage because if it had no brain, there will be no caps. So let's just connect the screen this time, and hopefully we should have Apple logo. And you also notice that there was no child.
Ah,
So
but isn't that like the pre-built sequence that normally happens? Checks for all the hardware and then only jump off.
yeah,
So if something is missing, they don't jump.
no. So if something is missing as a fault, not something is missing as not connected. Something like a screen is more like a peripheral.
Okay. So
Yeah.
remember they're using the USB. Okay, right.
So that is it. That's an Apple logo, and pretty much that is going to be the end of the repair. So thank you guys. I'll see you in the next video. So the device will go into testing, and then we'll have a happy client.
So I remember now actually because it's not